Leading the Nightline tonight, the Sarawak State Disaster Management Committee (SDMC) reiterates that lives comes first, especially for residents in low-lying flood-prone areas. Sarawak Deputy Premier and SDMC Chairman Dr. Ahmad Douglas Uga Ambas stresses that evacuation orders must be obeyed immediately as they are issued based on thorough safety assessments. Speaking at the temporary evacuation centre at SJK Chunghua Sungai Tengah Kuching, Uga warned that delaying evacuation could lead to serious and unpredictable consequences, particularly during sudden heavy rainfall.
Nasihat saya kepada bangsa-bangsa, sila berpindah apabila diarah oleh pihak mereka mengarahkan kamu berpindah kerana mereka telah menilai bahawa kalau keadaan dibiarkan begitu saja ia akan menyusahkan bangsa-bangsa yang tidak berpindah. Kerana kita tidak tahu ada jaminan bahawa air tidak naik. Kadang-kadang naik hujan lebat datang naik, so kalau tidak berpindah ada perkara yang tidak diinginkan.
Uga acknowledged that at the early stage there were challenges in persuading some residents to evacuate. However, public awareness has now improved as a result of previous disaster experiences. All shelters may not match the comfort of homes. Uga said they offer safety, protection and essential healthcare.
We thank the Rakyat for their understanding and for their cooperation. And that's why it is our duty, therefore, to make sure this place will be as comfortable as possible. Of course, it will not be equivalent to the comfort of home, but at least ada tempat yang menginap sekejap, which can be safe, and the medical are also here.
The 2025 Online Safety Act, which took effect on January 1st, draws a clear line of responsibility, requiring social media platforms to actively protect children from harmful online content. Women, Family and Community Development Minister Dato Sri Nancy Shukri says the Act ends the practice of shifting blame solely to parents, making it mandatory for platform operators to monitor children's use of their services. She says the law places direct accountability on operators to ensure user accounts comply with age limits, particularly involving users aged 16 and below.
Dia buat undang-undang dia lebih kepada memberi tanggungjawab kepada operators supaya mereka mesti menunjukkan tanggungjawab itu dengan memonitor sama ada kanak-kanak ini sama ada akaun ini akaun kanak-kanak ke tidak, because 16 and below tak boleh. So therefore operator kena bertanggungjawab.
Under Answer 2025, platforms are empowered to remove underage accounts that breach age requirements subject to their technical systems. However, Nancy stresses that parents remain a critical safeguard, working alongside platform enforcement to keep children safe online. Hamas will be given a very short period of time to disarm and will pay a heavy price unless it delivers. That's the message from Donald Trump after a closed-door meeting with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida. The American leader also said both the US and Israel are helping Gaza, while claiming that around 1 million people are prepared to voluntarily relocate from the enclave. RT correspondent Caleb Marpin from New York gives us the details on the meeting.
I heard that number today, half of Gaza would leave. I've always said it. I said if they were given the opportunity to live in a better climate, they would move. They're there because they sort of have to be. I think it would be a great opportunity, but let's see if that opportunity presents itself. But we're helping the people of Gaza a lot. So is Israel, by the way.
Well, when the two leaders came out and spoke, we heard some interesting remarks from U.S. President Trump. He said that at this point, he wants to help the residents of Gaza, that they want to leave, and that Israel wants to help them as well. Now, that certainly doesn't match what we've observed over the past 2 years' bombardment, but that is the president's assessment. That's what Donald Trump had to say. Now, he claimed that Israel is living up to its end of the deal, and that he has brought peace to the region for the first time in 3,000 years, giving himself credit. Now, the Gaza Ministry of Health says at least 400 people have died since the ceasefire began, that Israel is not upholding their end of the bargain, that Palestinians have been killed, but that was not the assessment that U.S. President Donald Trump had. Now, he called on Hamas to disarm, and in his remarks, he echoed Netanyahu in emphasizing that the fear that Hamas may not disarm is the main risk. He also made a point of threatening Iran and saying that if Iran were to continue rebuilding their peaceful nuclear energy program, etc., that there would be an attack on Iran. He emphasized threats against Iran in quite threatening language. Now, when we heard from the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, he spoke about a desire to have a peaceful border with Syria. And, he talked about wanting to make sure there are no terrorist attacks coming over the border with Syria. He talked about the need to protect Druze communities. And that, of course, doesn't acknowledge that Israel has been repeatedly violating Syrian airspace, carrying out strikes and attacks within Israel, within Syria itself. That has been taking place. Now, many who are listening wonder if Trump may have today more or less given a green light to Israel to escalate its activities against Lebanon and throughout the region. It's also important to note when Netanyahu spoke, he said that Donald Trump would be receiving what is considered the highest honor in Israel, which is the Israel Prize. It's the highest honor in the country, and Trump will be the first non-Israeli citizen to ever get the Israel Prize. So that was a big point when they spoke outside of Trump's estate in Mar-a-Lago when we heard from the two leaders. We'll be waiting to see what the repercussions of these words are, what impact they have. Of course, the whole world was closely paying attention. The region was closely paying attention. There's a lot of developments taking place.
A 6.5 magnitude earthquake rattled Mexico's capital and a tourist hotspot on the Pacific coast on Friday, killing at least 2 people and causing moderate damage in a small town near the epicenter. The U.S. Geological Survey said the quake struck shortly before 8 a.m. near Acapulco, a major port and beach resort. It was felt around 400 kilometers away to the north in Mexico City, where alarms sent people rushing into the street for safety, disrupting a holiday weekend. 60-year-old man died after falling while evacuating his second-floor apartment in the capital, according to local authorities. 12 others were injured, City Mayor Clara Brugada wrote on social media, but there were no reports of major damage in the country's largest city. President Claudia Sheinbaum was forced to evacuate the presidential palace during her regular morning press conference. Mexico's National Seismological Service said that the earthquake's epicenter was situated 14 kilometers southwest of the town of San Marco in the state of Guerrero. Stock markets rose on Friday, the first trading day of 2026, with London's benchmark FTSE 100 index reaching 10,000 points for the first time. After indices smashed records in 2025, ending with double-digit annual gains, London continued the trend in early New Year deals. The capital's top-tier index, featuring the likes of energy group BP, telecoms firm Vodafone and banking giant HSBC, gained more than 1% to reach an all-time high of 10,046.25 points soon after the start of trading on Friday.
It later cooled but was still showing a gain of 0.5% compared with the close on Wednesday. The index climbed more than 21% in 2025, the biggest gain for 16 years, helped in large part by cuts to British interest rates alongside reductions to borrowing costs by the U.S. Federal Reserve as global inflation retreated. Paris and Frankfurt edged higher in late morning deals Friday after Hong Kong led Asian gains, closing up 2.8%. Overall in 2025, Hong Kong jumped 28%, Tokyo won 26%, and Seoul soared 75%. Wall Street S&P added 16.4% last year, and the tech-rich Nasdaq 20.4%, with the dollar weakening on U.S. rate cuts and President Donald Trump's war on tariffs. However, the dollar made a bright start to 2026, rising against the euro, yen, and British pound. Oil prices dipped, having lost nearly 20% last year on an oversupplied market.
A man suspected of being involved in an explosion using an improvised explosive device, IED, in Desa Palma Nilai is believed to have made the device out of anger and resentment towards his ex-girlfriend who left him 5 years ago. Nilai District Police Chief Superintendent Johari Yahya said the 62-year-old suspect often talked about his disappointment with his ex-girlfriend to a neighbor, thus reinforcing his confession. However, according to him, interrogation is still continuing, but is quite limited, given the suspect's health condition which does not allow it, and he is still being treated. So far, 24 witnesses have recorded their statements. Earlier, the man was remanded for another 7 days starting tomorrow after his remand ended today. Negeri Sembilan Police Chief Dr. Al-Zafni Ahmad, who was previously reported to have said that the suspect in the explosion case that occurred on the morning of December 22nd was arrested around Batang Berna Nilai at 4:15 p.m. on December 27th with burnt marks on his face, body, hands and feet. The suspect is believed to have technical knowledge and specialized skills in making explosives based on the discovery of devices and equipment seized from the man's rented house. A 28-year-old man is feared to have drowned after reportedly falling from a boat at the mouth of the Batang Oya River in Mocha early this morning. The victim has been identified as Awang Ismail Awang Rosidi. He is believed to have been alone in the boat when the incident occurred at around 9:23 a.m. The Sabah Fire and Rescue Department said it received an emergency call at 9:23 a.m. and immediately dispatched a team from Mocha to the scene. The team arrived at the location at about 9:46 a.m. after traveling approximately 21 kilometers. According to the department, initial information was obtained through a police report made by a family member who was informed by the victim's wife that he was feared to have gone overboard into the river at the Batang Oya River mouth. A search and rescue operation was launched around the area near jellyfish processing factory, where the victim was believed to have gone missing. Firefighters applied surface water searching techniques while combing the area. However, the search was hampered by heavy rain and high tide conditions at the time of operation, which reduced visibility and made the operation more challenging. As of the latest update, the victim has yet to be found, and the search and rescue operation is expected to continue. Authorities have advised the public, especially river users and fishermen, to exercise caution when traveling by boat, particularly during bad weather and high tide conditions. And that's all the time we have for TVS Nightline. I'm Shalish Mato. Thank you for watching and have a good night.